Hello, please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Gayana. I am originally from Moscow, Russia, but currently I am in the acting industry in LA.
Hi Gayana, can you please tell us about your experience being in Hollywood and how did you come here and how did you start and what brought you here?
Well, I've studied theater back in Moscow. I've studied Stanislavski method. Afterwards, I kind of got drawn into a different industry. You know how they say life happens. After some time working in a different industry, I've decided that I'm going to start, living a life for myself and do something that I'm truly passionate about, which is acting. And at what point I just decided to turn my life 180 degrees around, bought a ticket to LA, got here and started figuring it out.
So, as a beginner in this career, what would you say, what is the crucial to have in your hands to get through and to go and get the role that you need, that you want?
It's definitely very tough, especially in Los Angeles. Everybody wants to be an actor, whether you have any experience or not. A lot of people are drawn to the Hollywood aspect of it and to the whole glitz and glamour. But I believe you have to really truly be passionate about and really want it in your gut. And that will, already give enough drive to kind of go out and search for agents, search for managers, go on castings, maybe go to an acting school if you haven't done. If not, there's plenty of workshops that you can attend and just kind of, get the ball rolling. Yeah.
Speaking about the castings, what do you have to do to get the casting and to get the role, to be casted?
Well, you have to be at the right time at the right place. It's a lot about luck. Unfortunately, sometimes you go to castings and you think you do a superb job, and you probably have. But, sometimes the director is looking for something so specific that it's just out of your control. That's why, when you don't get casted, you just, you don't get upset about it, you don't dwell on it, you just move on. But definitely you have to be prepared. A lot of castings, when it comes to acting, they send you, the scene in advance, so you gotta know it, you gotta know your character, you gotta do the job, who, where, what, why, all of those questions about the character. You create the story in your head so that when you come in, you're not just reading the lines of your character, you actually know who you are and what you're doing and where you're going. So I think it's a lot about homework, just doing your homework.
And since you're a Russian actress, did you face any troubles with an accent? What would you say regarding the language?
Yes, unfortunately, it's very rare, and I have to be honest, it's very rare that thick accented, actors get through. Of course, we have, exceptions, such as the actors for the Wonder Woman, but most of the time, you gotta work on your accent. You gotta work on your accent just because there's so much competition, and even if you look the part and you perform well, the accent might be that defining moment that, might not get that role for you. So yeah, there's plenty of great acting coaches and voice coaches and accent reduction coaches. So absolutely, that's one of the things that an actor should consider when coming from abroad.
Would you recommend any specifically in Los Angeles?
I know one of the greatest, I would say, accent reduction coaches. His name is John Sperry. He's very well known, and it's also not a bad thing to put in your resume. When you go to casting director workshops or acting workshops, accent reduction, any acting school, you put all of that in resume, and it just shows that you're kind of hustling, you're working it out. You're not just sitting and waiting for the role to come to your hands.
So basically, to get a successful career here in Hollywood, you have to have a perfect language without any accent. You have to have an agent. What else? What
you don't
say?
You don't have to have it, However, it's just gonna make it a lot easier. There's a lot of attributes. Like I said, first starts with your ambition and your drive. You cannot just wait and rely on your agent to get you your jobs booked. If you have a great agent, that's already, you know, 50%. However, the rest of the work relies on you either way. Because even if he books you an audition, it's still up to you to get the part. So, you know, you gotta be a triple threat, you know. You gotta, maybe sometimes you gotta sing, you gotta act, you gotta dance, you gotta be in a good shape, you have to have a personality, and you have to be a go-getter sort of as well, you know. Like, just approach people and not be afraid to contact them, and you know, maybe they will just completely ignore you and maybe not. So yeah, you gotta create your own opportunities.
Tell us, what did you study and where for the acting skills?
Well, initially I've studied theater, Stanislavski method in Moscow, Russia. But like I said, then I kind of transferred into a completely different industry, oil industry in Europe. When I got here, I went to New York Film Academy. They have many campuses in New York, in Miami, in Los Angeles, even in Europe, I believe. So I found the campus here in LA, and I did a 2-month program at first, just to kind of see, you know, if that's something that I want to do, because that was a transition from the theater school that I've learned into the film school. So I did a 2-month program. I really loved it. I understood, you know, that it can bring me a lot more knowledge to be in front of the camera here in Hollywood. So I did a 1-year program, and yeah, it was, you know, definitely something just to start with, because they also teach you, just besides, you know, the acting skills, they teach you the business skills of acting.
Yeah, speaking about the business, while you were studying, were you preparing for your business career? Did you have any plan? How would you structure your business? Any advice you would give to freshers?
Well, I'm kind of in the same boat with them, no. But yeah, you always have to have a plan. You have to have an idea where you're going. If you don't know where you're going, you're gonna end up nowhere. So at first I would say get a lawyer, get an acting lawyer, just so that he can help you out in any, you know, immigration, you know, working visa, all of that, because that is kind of the basis, unfortunately, because if you don't have that, you can't really do anything else. You can't go on castings, you can't book jobs. So that's like the first aspect that you have to kind of consider. What is your status visa here? What is your immigration status, you know, and does that allow you to book jobs and be considered for the roles? So once that is in place, yeah, you learn how to get an agent, how to approach an agent, which agencies to look for, how to find them, and then you find your perfect match, hopefully.
So you would say that, for example, actors that come from Russia, for example, to Hollywood, they would require to have a visa, working visa.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely, unless you have a green card and you want a green card. Absolutely, unfortunately, you cannot even go to castings if you do not have a valid working permit in the United States. So that's number one. You know, again, you can try to, it depends, because if you've been already an active actor in Russia, for example, and you have long list of credentials, you can get the talent visa here in the United States. Again, through the lawyer, you know, they will explain the process. If you do not, and you come kind of like me, you know, from a completely different industry, what I did is I finished the acting school here, a 1-year program, and that allows you for the OPT visa, which is a 1-year acting visa. That kind of, you know, just gives you time to figure it out and build some credentials here. And then in case if you already booked some jobs and you have an agent, then it's a lot easier to get an A1, which is a talent visa here in the United States.
And tell us about SAG, the Union of Association of the Actors. Is it required to be in SAG to be able to go for castings and to get the roles? Or?
No, absolutely not. I would actually recommend to start with non-SAG projects, and I wouldn't say prolong it as much as you can, but the thing with SAG is once you become SAG, you're not allowed to do the non-union jobs. Some actors still do, but if you want to, you know, do it the right way, I would suggest to start booking commercials that are non-union. I've booked plenty of great commercials with Barbie, with Procter & Gamble, that are non-union, you know, that are well paid, that are established brands and recognizable brands. So I would not rush to get the SAG card. But there are ways to get the SAG card. You have to have, for example, 3 vouchers of an extra on a SAG project. That will give you, a foot in the door. But also don't forget that, the royalty to get into the SAG, it's not free. So there's a lot of aspects that an actor should really consider before jumping into the SAG.
Tell us, does the actor have to have an agent to get the role, or you can approach directors and casting directors directly?
It's definitely good to have an agent. That's a #1 step. Now, my story, I've applied for several agencies. I've got really good feedback. I got 6 offers. I went with one of the agents, and some things happened. He dropped out of the agency, and then I was left agentless, but I'm not the kind of person who's just gonna sit and be like, oh, well, I don't have an agent, so let me go and get a coffee. No, so what I started doing is, I'm still in negotiation right now with other agencies, but I've just decided to hustle and approach directors, producers, acting coaches, anybody that I can think of directly. I used LinkedIn, I used Facebook, God knows, I used all different resources, and it actually did pay back. So yeah, you just, an agent is great help, but you really have to really want it. And like I said, if you really want it, you're gonna hustle and you're gonna create your own opportunities.
And what would you advise to the starters, beginners in this career? How should they choose the school, acting school?
Again, a lot of schools that are great here, they do not provide you with an OPT visa, which is a 1-year working visa upon the completion of the program. So if this is the immigration situation that you're facing with, that you do not have a proper working permit here, then I would definitely consider the school first and foremost that does offer the OPT, which is optional practical training visa. So that's #1 requirement. If you're in a position where you don't need to consider that, then there's so many schools here. We're in Hollywood. It's the heart of acting and movies. So I definitely consider the school first and foremost that has great credential, that has been around and hasn't been opened yesterday, but also that would help me with the whole OPT situation.
Since you said that an agent is not a mandatory in Hollywood and you can get to the casting directors directly, what would you say about famous.com, since you are the member of our community and you know how it works?
Absolutely. Like I said, at first, I was just, trying to use social media or some kind of network platforms to get in touch. But Famous is exactly what it is. You just get a direct link to all those professionals without having to go through the middleman. And like I said, if you have the drive, you just go directly and they will feel that drive of yours. When you work with an agent, you're gonna have to rely on that person. So it's definitely a great platform to be able to reach the people that you need directly. And God, who knows, you might, write a little letter to someone and the next day you might be in Hollywood. That's just how it happens sometimes. So it's definitely a great platform to utilize and to create your own opportunities. Also, it's very important when you just get to LA, you gotta have your headshots done. You gotta have your headshots because this is your business card. This is what they're gonna look at, when they first meet you. Any casting you go to, any audition you go to, you gotta give your resume, you gotta give your headshot. It's just like #1 thing you do, just like you brush your teeth in the morning. You walk in and here it is. I also have a business card, I have a website, so the more you have, the better it is. And I would really, really suggest to have a website of your own. I have a website that I pay $10 a month, so it doesn't have to necessarily be super expensive, but I put everything I want in there. I have my reel, all my little short videos that I've done, put in one. I have my resume, I have a little bit about myself, I have all different headshots, I have photos from behind the scenes that shows that I've been a part of larger productions. So the more you can give, the better. but it has to be very, you know, precise and very, you know, to the point. But that's definitely one of the things an actor should have, you know, in the back, definitely right away. Your headshots, your resume, you know, your reel, and then you're good to go.